Hey, hey, it's me, and I'm still in a cast mood. So immediately after I filmed the last episode of Wright Designs, I hopped into cast and I wanted to show Jackhammer here some Plum Love. But not only Jackhammer, there's 3 other people, other Sims that came to Frankie's party that I wanted to show some Plum Love because Frankie needs some friends. She has no friends in Appaloosa Plains really except for Maisie Miller, and she's just got clients. So I thought, well, let's give a potential love interest a makeover, but then also let's give some of the other party guests some makeover. So starting off with Jackhammer, the little hottie patati with the best name in the world. And then we're gonna move on to a female sim, a male sim, and then another female sim, and we're gonna call this group Frankie's Friends. So what I discovered about these sims is that they are all 0 slider sims, so they basically all look exactly the same. So I went a little bit buck wild with my sliders, as I tend to do when I show sims some Plum Love. And you can see here that I've given Jack a very voluptuous lower bottom lip, and I'm not even gonna say what I'm thinking because yeah, I'm just not gonna go there. But anyway, we're putting on some makeup. Ooh, another thing that I really like about Jackhammer's new look is that I gave him a bump in his nose, and I really love that slider. I don't remember who made that slider exactly, but it just gives a little bit more definition to the nose and makes very unique noses. And I've been doing this thing lately on all of my sims that I'm making over where I give them blush, like they've got rouged cheeks, and I'm really liking that look. I'm really digging that look at the moment. So I changed his hair a little bit to a dark brown, not so much dark black like it was before, and then gave him some massive eyebrows because I've got a thing with like the bigger the better in The Sims. I love thick eyebrows, I love bulbous tips on their noses, luscious bottom lips, all of it. So that is Jackhammer's face. We're moving on to his outfit, and I kept it cash. I went with the diesel stuff because it's my favorite. So diesel for the top, and I think I go diesel for the bottom. Do I? Yes, I do. And then we're gonna throw on some boots, I believe. And that is that. Yes, we're going to throw on some pixie cat boots, I believe they are. No, they're not. They're University Life. But now we've moved on to Isabel Mina. Now, Isabel was not at the party, but she is beautiful. Even though she's a 0 slider potato sim, she is beautiful. I wanted to show her some Plum Love, and I wanted to do something a little bit different with her. I've never used this hairstyle before. This is under hats. This is from the Plum Blob's Retexture catalog, and I gave her a little dent in her chin, widened her face a little bit. She doesn't look like my normal type of sim, at least I don't think so. She's probably the most unique looking out of all 3 of these sims in terms of, I think I've got a style when I make sims over, and I think she just looks a little bit different. Her and the last sim that I do look very, very unique to me and very, very different. What I can tell you about Isabel is that she is bi-curious, I believe. She's either bisexual or she's bi-curious. And as we all know, our dear Frankster is bisexual as well. So if not friends, maybe Isabel and Frankie could have a little thing going, but we don't know. Speaking of Frankie, our dear Frankster, her house is looking pretty darn good, and I've got a poll up at the moment, and I don't know if this video is gonna go up before the poll finishes, so what I'm talking about may just not be relevant, but I've got a poll going up at the moment on the community tab, that's basically asking you guys if you want me to film the recoloring of Frankie's house or if you want it to be a surprise. I would rather it be a surprise because then for some reason I get really nervous when I film and it just takes me 10 times longer than it needs to take. But when I'm not filming, I don't feel that pressure to make everything perfect the first time, because if I keep filming through all of my mistakes per se, it just takes me yonks. It takes me such a long time. So yeah, I'd rather do the recoloring off camera and surprise you guys, but it's looking like you guys want me to film the recoloring on camera. So Isabel here, we are going to put an outfit on her, and I used an outfit from University Life. I love suspenders. I mean, I've got a pair of suspenders. I don't wear them very often. I can't remember last time I wore my suspenders, but I just love a suspenders look. I went with these shorts, and then I kept her in heels, and I think it's a really, really cute look. And then we're gonna move on to Theodore Hickman after we put some jewelry on dear Isabel here. And it is Theodore's turn. It's Teddy's turn. Now for Theodore here, his outfit struck me as very, very nerdy. So I kind of kept a similar look to him. You'll see when we get to the outfit. I didn't like that his belt was like way past his belly button, so I fixed that a little bit. But onto his face, and his hair is bright red. I wanted to brighten up his hair a little bit, and I do end up giving him some glasses because I was going with this nerdy vibe. But I think we found out during the party that Theodore is actually a party animal. So he's like, in my eyes, a nerdy party animal. But I'm really happy with how he turned out. I think he's really, really handsome. Especially going from 0 sliders to touching every single slider that I possibly have. I think he looks pretty darn good. And he's got like, I think his eyes are really unique because I do tend to spread out my eyes on my Sims' faces, but for some reason his are really striking, and maybe it's the red hair combination with the light eyes, but it's really working for me. It is really working for me, and I'm just gonna enlarge his tip a little bit. Yuck. And then once we're finished with that, we are on to the lips now. And I made his lips a little bit thinner than I normally do. They're really thin and they're really wide, and I wanted to give him freckles. He's a little old freckle face, and I just love his look. We've of course got to put on some makeup because it makes Sims look a little bit more realistic. Now, something that I just found out about nose masks, and I found this out from Girl Meets Pixels. She was doing a makeover on one of her streams, and whenever I put nose masks on my Sims, I usually just put it all the way down to the end of the opacity, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to actually change the color of the nose mask because there is definition. But yeah, I only just learned that. I was today years old when I learned that. So this is Theodore, and we are moving on to Edith Haskins, I believe. Now Edith is an adult. You can kind of see that with the lines in her face. And I think she's probably the most unique looking out of the 4 of these Sims. And I really focused on her nose. I gave her a nose that I wouldn't normally give one of my Sims. I'm trying to create different looking unique Sims, and I had that opportunity because, like I've said, the sliders were set to 0, so the world was my oyster, and I really love how she turned out, and I love the hair color that I went with. With the other Sims, I tried to keep their hair color very, very similar to what they already had, but for Edith I was like, yeah, screw it, we're gonna go crazy. And I'm very jealous of Edith's hair. I think it suits her really, really well. I like her look, I like her, and I believe that Edith is, I think Edith is bisexual, just straight up bisexual. She's not bi-curious, she is bisexual. Actually, lies, I tell a lie. Edith is a lesbian, and Isabel is bi-curious. Edith or Isabel could potentially be a partner for Frankie. And another thing about Frankie, let me know this down below in the comments, but somebody actually commented on the last video that they can see Frankie adopting a child. Now, I know we talked about this in the very beginning of the series, but I see Frankie adopting a child as well. There is a lot on the horizon for Frankie, and I'm super duper excited for it. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I'm gonna love you and leave you guys with Edith and some music. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to do all those cool Intuit things, like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you've got that bell ding dong so you're notified whenever I do upload. But for now, I'm gonna skedaddle. Don't be a plum stranger now, guys.